Well, there are a few things that we actually saw in the first half of 2018. One important point is this whole topic of vulnerabilities. So we discovered a lot of vulnerabilities in common software products like Adobe, Apple, Microsoft, as well as in critical infrastructure like ICS devices or IoT devices. That's important because vulnerabilities are, let's say, the main entry point for every of today's attacks, whether it's consumer or company related. That's the one part. The other part is definitely a non-technical thing. That's this whole business email compromise area or CEO fraud. So that's a non-technical attack where I'm trying to convince people within an organization to transfer money, to transfer funds in general. This is quite interesting because we've seen a huge shift from those traditional, let's say, malware attacks like ransomware or even crypto mining to more process-based attacks like business email compromise. So if you combine those two, you have the ability to attack or to infiltrate organizations as well as means to make money out of that infiltration. And those two combined, that basically fuels the business model for cyber criminals. So if we talk about cryptojacking or crypto mining in general, one new business model that cyber criminals are following these days is they basically infect PCs, so they infiltrate PCs, and instead of delivering ransomware or spyware, they're installing cryptocurrency miners on these PCs. So basically they're stealing your CPU resources. This has been a big thing in the past for IoT devices. So there were a lot of infected IoT devices which were doing crypto mining for cryptocurrencies. And this now has been extended to PCs as well. The dangerous thing here is there is no real effect or visible effect for the user. It's just that the PC behaves more slowly. However, the attacker, the cyber criminal, he will gain the cryptocurrency out of it. So he has a direct method to make money out of infected PCs. And this combination of easy infection, of easy deployment of those crypto miners, plus the business model, that makes it huge for cyber criminals, which basically means this will follow us for the next years. Well, if we take a look at Poland in particular, the good news is Poland is none of the actual top 10. So if you take a look at things like business email compromise, if you take a look at ransomware infections, or if you take a look at, for instance, crypto mining infections, Poland is not in the top 10. So things or countries like the US, like Australia, maybe even some Arabic countries are in the top places. It's not Poland. This doesn't really mean that Poland is uninteresting for cyber criminals. It just means that they're not focusing on Poland as a country or on the Polish language. But still, if you see, let's say, the general infection scheme like ransomware, I mean, a ransomware doesn't really distinguish between an English PC, a French PC, or a Polish PC. So you still have those infections. It's just that you're not in focus, maybe yet. I would say you have to differentiate a few things. First of all, if you take a look at, for instance, industrial control systems or industrial IoT devices, let's put it that way, there are definitely a lot of vulnerabilities in those devices, new and old. The bad thing nowadays is that you sometimes have devices connected to the internet which were never intended to be connected. So you have the vulnerabilities, you have a method of accessing those devices, which basically means that an attacker could access and compromise those devices from a technical point of view. However, there are two more things that you have to take into consideration. The first one is those industrial control systems, they are complex. They're much more complex than the usual software applications. So if you are an attacker and if you want to make money out of it, it doesn't help you to destroy the actual device, because if you destroy it, you won't get any money. So a way to actually extort money from there is, for instance, to change parameters. To do that, you need extremely detailed knowledge about the process itself. And that's not the technical implementation, it's really the process that that machine controls. And that's really special knowledge. So that's not that easy to come by. So if you want to make money out of it, you have to know the process. That's the first thing. And many attackers do not. So it's quite easy to find those machines. It's quite easy to compromise them technically. But it's very hard to understand the process that they're controlling. That's the second part. The third part is more let's say, regulatory part. Those environments have been built with safety in mind. So even if you succeed in compromising one single component, which might lead to a safety risk, another safety measure might kick in to secure the machine. So it's not that end of the world scenario that many are seeing. Yes, the vulnerability is there. Yes, those machines are connected, but it's not the end of the world. Still, we have to address that. We have to fix them. We have to make them more secure. So if I would have, let's say, to say 3 tips that I would give to a company or in a business in general, I would say the first thing is think about general security hygiene. There have been products and technologies out there which allow you to provide a secure environment for your employees. Things like firewalls, antivirus, IDS, IPS systems. I mean, those things are basic infrastructure things that have to be in place nowadays. It's not a question of, do I have them in place? It's just a question of which brand or which configuration. The second thing, and I'm just using this one separately, is really patching. If you have systems, if you have IT systems, if you have your telephone switchboard, patch them. If there is a patch available from the vendor, apply the patch. Vulnerabilities are the #1 way for attackers to come in. If you patch your systems, your window of exposure, your attack window becomes much smaller. So really patch all the systems available. And the third tip is more in the process area. Many people are perceiving security as something disjoint from regular IT operations or disjoint from regular business operations. It's not. Security has to be part of day-by-day business operations. It has to be embedded into IT processes, and IT itself has to be embedded into the business processes. So it has to be part of the business process from day one, and also it has to take a lead from the business. So the business says, well, I want to achieve a specific goal, and security or IT has to provide the means to do so, but it has to be embedded. It doesn't make sense to have security or IT in general as a disjoint department, disjoint from the actual business.